His last name is George. Georg. Huh? He's one of the public works guy. He's smaller.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's what I was thinking of, but I just couldn't. I couldn't. It's like
Yeah.
there's a little guy.
I still don't.
All right, it's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2024, for our July City Council special meeting, because it's a different day than the first Wednesday of the month. We have 4 council members present. Todd Arvidsson, Council Place 4, is gone on probably his last scouting trip to the Northern Tier, so he'll be back later this week, so an excused absence. If you'll please rise and join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please take your seats. And Chief, you're on. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. So I wanted to introduce you and bring up our new officer, Erin Brown. If she would like to come up here with her family, please. And I'm going to swear in Officer Brown today. Just right around her, anywhere.
Chief, let's face the audience and bring so everybody can see the family at home.
Oh, so come around this side, please. Not, you have to stand in front. Okay. I'm sorry? Yes. Face me and raise your right hand. I, Erin Brown, do solemnly swear
I, Erin Brown, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of police officer
that I will faithfully execute the duties of police officer
for the state of Texas and the city of Garden Ridge,
for the state of Texas and the city of Garden Ridge,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state
and of this state
and of this city, so help me God.
and of this city, so help me God.
You're now official.
Thank you.
And her husband will be presenting her her badge, her official badge. Yes, please, introduce. You have to do it over here so we can hear.
Hi, I'm Officer Brown. This is my husband, Christopher Brown, my dad, Dana Watson, my son, Rylan, and my other son, Dawson.
And welcome. I don't know if you've met everybody. Mayor Rob Erickson.
Have you met the city council?
I have not
If
met
you want to
everyone.
make your rounds, actually from here, you probably already met Marissa and Cindy. You make your rounds.
We have.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Mayor,
Just
while
really
we're here?
quick. It's a pleasure to have you on the force and in the city of Garden Ridge. And I just want you to know from the council, all the city staff and employees and the residents of the city of Garden Ridge, we have your back, we have your family's back, and there's nothing more important to us than the long blue line in Garden Ridge, Texas. So welcome and congratulations. Great to have you here. Another round.
Mr. Mayor. Let's get a picture for.
All right. In front of the podium up here. Okay, how great is that? Welcome to the city of Garden Ridge. Thanks for being here. That concludes item number 3. On to item number 4, citizen comment period. We have one individual signed up, Mr. Gary Gates. We can't comment on what you have to say, but we're listening and we're taking notes. And Gary? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you're up.
Very hard of hearing.
That's
I got
okay.
hearing aids. I'm all messed up. Anyway,
Welcome.
my name is Gary Gates. I have a machine shop by Jetro and Marbach for about 35 years. I've been coming up Bat Cave Road forever. I know there's signs that no through trucks. I understand that. Ordinance 22. I went and looked up your Ordinance 22, and it says 2,000-pound carrying capacity. You can't even drive a half-ton truck through there anymore. Do you realize that? You drive a half-ton truck, you're breaking the law. So the whole thing started on this whole thing. I have a Kenworth truck. We were coming up Chantal, we were turning around on Bat Cave and coming back because I had hired a new driver. And all these drivers said they can drive a 10-speed truck, but they can't. Nacogdoches was closed up. So anyway, I got a ticket. I went and fought it, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, they need clarity to what you can drive up there because you can't drive an F-250 up there. So that's what the law says. Half-ton, barely, some half-tons, maybe 2,000 pounds, maybe not. I don't know. So anyway, you need a sign that says how much gross weight, like 12, like the state does, 12, 14,000 pounds, whatever it says, and have a sign that you can turn around and go get back out of there. I've been driving that road for a long time, almost as long as Garden Ridge has been here. And so I talked to the policeman about it, didn't want him to hear about it. I talked to he didn't want to hear about it. I had it reset, and then to top that off, after I had it reset, they gave me a notice of a pre-warrant that took me an hour to straighten it out, but to come back on June 27th, and nobody said anything about that. So that's pretty poor. Well, we made a mistake. Well, I don't know about that. So I just want somebody to fix the signs and tell me what we can drive through there. That's all it is. Because you can't, legally, I see trucks going that Door Lane coming out of there. We can do business down there. I see them everywhere. All kinds of trucks coming through here. They can't go through there. Is that correct? If you read the ordinance. I pay a lot of Comal County taxes, a lot, like $70,000 a year. So, this is how you get treated. Even though I don't live in Garden Ridge, I understand that. But somebody needs to fix the signs. Is that correct?
Remember, we can't answer, we can just listen.
Well, then everybody that drives a F-250 or 2500 Chevrolet needs to get a ticket, the way I see it. And put in what no through means. I wasn't going through your city. I was turning around to come back.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Gates. Your 3 minutes
That's
are
what
up.
I got to say. And that's the way it is, and I'm not happy about the whole situation.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, that concludes, everybody signed up for the first session of citizen comment period. On to item number 5, the consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. Council, does anybody have anything they want to pull from this month's consent agenda? Brian? Okay, if there's nothing to pull, can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the consent agenda?
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, staff reports. 6A, city manager monthly activity report. Nancy, floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, we have a few thank yous. First United Bank sent a thank you to Dan Bellinger for attending their branch security meeting and telling him thank you all for all you do for the Garden Ridge community, and they appreciate him. Then we have a resident, Mr. Waldhelm. He wanted to express his sincere appreciation for the prompt and professional service he received from our water department utility operator, Ruben Macias. He discovered a leak on his neighbor's property. Ruben showed up very quickly, figured out what was wrong very quickly, changed out the leaking water meter, and Mr. Walden was very, very appreciative and grateful to the commitment of providing excellent customer service, and he hoped that Mr. Macias is recognized. Then we had the Woods, Norman and Beverly Woods, sent a thank you, thanking Michelle for her excellent customer service and patience during the period of time they were building their home. And they also sent a thank you to Shannon, thanking her for her outstanding customer service while they were building their home, and that they greatly appreciate the patience and time that she spent with them. We have an employee recognition anniversary. Volunteer hours in Garden Ridge during the month of June. There were 7 from the Bill Stuffers, 138 with the library, and 44 hours with Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, totaling 189 volunteer hours for the month of June. Then I want to say that our July 4th celebration was great, and I want to thank all of the city staff. Every employee participated in putting on the event. I wanted to thank them publicly for their hard work and support in making our July 4th celebration the great success it was. Then on First Friday for August 2nd, I think we're having a watermelon-themed First Friday. They're going to be dropping a watermelon from the Selma Fire Department truck. Cindy says those are lots of fun, and it feels and sounds like a sonic boom when one is dropped. I can't imagine it, but Paul Davis Park, 5:30 to 7:30, Friday, August 2nd. Scout Troop 828 is going to be serving spaghetti, which that sounds good. And then there's going to be some Summer Olympics with prizes for the kiddos that participate at the event. And council, you will be getting a budget and tax rate calendar. I just need to firm up a couple of dates, so that I will email that to you as soon as it's ready. It should be no later than the first part of next week. And I think that is all I had, Mayor.
Outstanding. Thanks, Nancy, and thanks to the City of Garden Ridge and all of our employees, every single one of you, and everybody helped out beginning in March with the events committee, putting everything together with the department heads and key personnel, and putting together the 4th of July. So you guys crushed it again. It was a wonderful experience, and Nancy, you let me know of a couple of things that the city had to deal with, but it was not noticeable to everybody else there. So that's testament to everyone's hard work and great work, and thanks so much. Council, anything to add with that? Jesse?
Just thank you to everybody again, great job, and I know it stepped up different this year. Some of y'all didn't have, things in the past to do, and really appreciate everybody doing what they did. Thank you.
All right, awesome. And then special thanks to Cindy for helping put together First Friday for August. One of the benefits of, even though Bracken Volunteer Fire Department doesn't have a hook and ladder, the fire chief for the city of Selma lives on Teakwood. So, and the city of Selma has a brand-new ladder truck that, if it's not being used, hopefully, they're going to bring to First Friday, and we're going to drop, like Nancy talked about, watermelons. Sound like a sonic boom. I didn't even know that, and I love sonic booms. And then because it's the Olympics, we'll celebrate Team USA and hopefully bring the kiddos out to have some spaghetti, which is great, and do some contests, and present some medals. So it should be a good time. Paul Duke is playing for us, so can't wait for that. Council, anything else for the general? Okay, outstanding. Thanks, Nancy. On
You're
to
welcome. Thank
6B, Finance and HR Monthly Report. Robin, floor is yours, ma'am.
Am I on? Yeah. I only have a couple things to let council know that we are still looking for a water operator. We have that posted on our website, on TML, and I think we're gonna start getting some social media postings for that position as well. We haven't gotten in a lot of applications for that position as of yet, but we're still working on that. We also are getting ready for open enrollment. One of the things tonight is talking about our health insurance increases and things like that. But we'll be having meetings with employees coming up in August on their annual elections. And the other thing that we're really busy with right now is obviously budget and getting that ready for meetings coming up. So I think that's all I have to report.
Thanks, Robin. You've been working hard with Nancy these last couple months putting together our budget, so thanks for all your hard work. Council, anything for Robin? All right, thank you. Moving on to 6C, City Secretary, Activity Report. Marissa, floor is yours.
Thank you. A couple of things I just wanted to highlight is there's a couple of blood drives coming up in the city. The first one is, and they're both hosted by South Texas Blood and Tissue. The first one is this Saturday, July 13th from 9:30 to 2:30 at Garden Ridge Market Days. There is a link for you to schedule an appointment. And then the other one is going to be Saturday, August 10th at the Community and Event Center from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Also a separate link for you to sign up. Both of them have individual things they're giving away for each person that donates blood. So check them out, go make an appointment if you're interested. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight is for streaming of meetings, City Council meeting had 225 views, and we didn't have any Border Commission meetings, so that's why you don't see a number there. And that is all that I have.
Thanks, Marissa. Council, anything for City Secretary, Marissa? Awesome, thank you. Chief, you're up, 6D.
There we go. Okay. Most everything is in my report. I just wanted to touch base on a couple of things. One being, you met Officer Brown. Next month, you'll be introduced to another officer, Officer Rivera. He starts next week, and we'll start his block training in FTO, so he'll be ready to be brought in here and introduced to council for the next meeting. We are continuing our process, so tomorrow we have scenario testing. Next week, hopefully, we'll have an oral board. And with any luck, we'll have 3 of these slots filled by the end of this month. And that will just leave the 1 that we're still working on. So that was the main thing I wanted to add to this that wasn't in there. I don't have anything else to add to that. You know what? I take that back. I do want to bring up the one item that we put in there. We had our pancake breakfast that we've touched on once before. We were able to bring in $5,413 that we donated to the Children's Advocacy Center for this year's pancake breakfast. So it was a great turnout. I want to make it even bigger next year. So we'll keep y'all posted on that one.
Way to go, Chief. Is that a record? I think it is.
It's the highest so far.
Okay.
I want to break it every year.
Congrats. Fantastic. That's amazing. And sincere congrats and appreciation for everything that you and Assistant Chief Dan have done for recruiting and all your efforts, and it is paying off. Obviously, Officer Brown in the back, it's fantastic. So, and we look forward to more hires in the future.
They'll be here.
Great work. Council, anything for our Chief? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Stephen, you are on. And Council, Stephen may need to leave after he gives his 2 reports, just based on internet outage and SCADA discrepancies. So, right?
Yes.
Stephen, you're on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of June 2024, Public Works completed 419 tasks, recorded 2.56 inches of rain at our shop, did some pothole filling on Forest Waters, replaced damaged sidewalk sections at Paul Davis Park. Lions Club donation money and some of the Parks and Recs funds came from that. Prepared for 4th of July event. Had all of our fire extinguishers recertified. Pre-fueled all of our generators because we thought that we were going to possibly have some bad weather coming our way. Ryan attended snake handling class. As a reminder, dumpsters are back July 13th, 8 to 5, July 14th, 12 to 4 p.m., July 20th, 8 to 5, and July 21st, 12 to 4. Currently, we still have 3 dogs ready for adoption. That's all I have really for the Public Works portion of my report.
Thanks, Stephen. Council, anything for Stephen with Public Works? Go.
Okay, I want to take this opportunity to talk about the bulk and brush dumpsters. You know, last month, it's been a while now since I've seen any brush on 3009. And I saw a couple, and back in June, I saw 3 places where there was brush. So I just want to remind folks that are bringing, you know, items to the dumpsters to either cover them or tie them down and keep our roadways clean. So I appreciate for Marissa and Cindy to put the posting on our social media on that and on the Grapevine. So the other item is around, so that's around brush, around bulk dumpsters. You know, that's bringing non-brush items, you know, couches, TVs, whatever. Is to look at your items and consider if it's recyclable. Bracken Recycling accepts a lot of items that will save us space in the dumpsters. And in some cases you can sell it. So look at those options, you know, so maybe we can put a link in our social media about Bracken Recycling Company. Looking as far as looking at what items can be recyclable. So I encourage everybody to do that. I've taken items over there instead of bringing them here, so thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, the bulk items are take up so much room in our dumpsters, and then also they take a lot of time to unload and load.
So it's more than just that.
Yeah, it's more than just that. So it takes a lot of time. Any kind of recycling we can do would be amazing. And before you get into utilities, thanks for Public Works and everything you guys did to prep the park. It looked great. And I got 5 comments about the sign and the mulch around the sign. So thank you so much. So a couple of those comments were where'd the old sign go, and we have it, and we will put that up so everybody knows. We just haven't gotten to it yet. We're going to put that up with a little memorial, if you will, over by Pavilion 3 eventually. Hope to do that this calendar year. Nancy and I talked about that. So thanks so much, Stephen. You're on for utilities.
Okay, thank you. For the month of June, we pumped 36.18 feet out of the Edwards with a year-to-date total of 130.3, with available acre feet from the Edwards 414.03. Edwards is in stage 4 now since June 30th. They dropped to that, they went up to that stage because the Comal Springs dropped under 100 cubic feet per second. Normally it would be the below 130, but the Comal Springs and the J17 well kind of work simultaneously with each other. If one drops, then the other one might still be high, so they will change the stage on that also. We pumped 43.03 out of the Trinity with a year-to-date total of 238.15. All monthly distribution samples passed. We had a 1.2% water loss for the month of June. Completed 254 work orders, 57 locates. Daily readability percentage on the meters is 99.68% for 1,665 assigned meters. No main breaks reported. No new leak adjustments, 2 waiting for approval. And currently we're still working on well 10 over at the Schoenthal plant. It should be pretty much finished today. They got to put it together and flush it, and then we'll take a sample and then put it back in service, and then they'll start working on well 9. That's all I have for utilities.
Thanks, Stephen. Jesse, you're on.
On that well, it just, number 10, how bad was the one that was removed, or, how bad was it? Was it in pretty good shape, or bad, or worn out, or?
The well casing and everything looked fine. There was a little bit of iron buildup. We are replacing all the pipe since it was in there since this is original piping in there.
Okay.
So we had all new pipe put in there, new motor, new pump, new wire. So the GPM should be going up on that quite a bit.
That's great.
They're doing some chlorination on there to get rid of some of the iron in it. And it should be pretty good. Should get some good gallons per minute out of it.
Great news. And take care of number 9 next, you said, right? So
Yes.
I'll take care of both of them over there. Also, I want to compliment, what the 4 months that you're unaccountable, unsold water has been real low. No city leaks during that time period, so great, been great news. So, and thank you for what you and Dwayne do to keep the water, distribution between the Edwards and Trinity. Great job continuing.
Thanks, Jesse. Council, anything else for Stephen regarding utilities? Just a couple of quick comments. I think with LaSalle going into stage 4, I think maybe some of you saw that Texas Water Company, who provides a lot of water throughout the Hill Country, specifically with Comal County, went into stage 4. That's all based on your comments with the with SAWS and everything. So we remain in stage 2, and Stephen, you're doing a great job, as well as our residents are, of conserving water and adhering to stage 2. We've been there, we hit stage 1 a year ago, or 2 years ago this month, and stage 2 2 years ago next month. So we need water. You're doing a great job of managing it for us, along with our residents. And just as a reminder, as we go into the budget season, we last year we said, hey, we're going to, rather than look at water rates in October of 23 through November, we're going to tie water rates and looking at those with the actual budget process. So Jesse, you've been working on that with Stephen and company. So thanks, and we look forward to what you guys have to say in the coming months.
It's been a few years since we had a rate increase, so looks like it's going to be something this year. So.
And that's something we need to really look at, because we got to keep the water company solvent. so.
Yeah, and keep in mind that as we have more water restrictions or whatever, customers are reducing their water flow. That's what we want them to do, to conserve water. It also reduces our revenue. So it's a two-way thing there, unfortunately. It's just the way it goes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 6F, our librarian. Ms. Linda, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening. We've had a very busy and successful June so far. Our summer reading program has been enacted, and we have activities every single day, Monday through Friday, and then every third Saturday as well. Just to recap a couple of the activities we had on June 6th, there's a picture coming. Well, I was going to say, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so maybe I can save 2,000 words. Maybe. At the summer reading kickoff, we had about 164 kiddos that we could count. They were they were just moving around a lot. But then who wouldn't have fun? We had 2 bounce houses. We had oversized games like Jenga, and the stack cups were very popular. And I do not know how many loads of popcorn we went through and snow cones, but I think they ate lunch there. I'm not sure. They couldn't have been hungry when they left. But that was a fun day. I trust they all enjoyed it. And then on June 22nd, we had our annual tea party, Mommy and me. And we were really honored to have Mrs. Texas USA this year. She talked to about 21 girls about knowing their worth, which means understanding how special, amazing, and important each one is. And I somehow think they paid more attention to her with her, she's so beautiful, so glamorous, and that big crown, maybe more than their parents, their moms, or even their librarian, maybe. I don't know. But it was a good day. They all seemed to have a good time. We had their moms or grandmothers talk about what made each girl special. And there's an arch there. And they stood up, and the mom or her adult talked about what makes you a special child. Not just that they're beautiful, because they're all beautiful. And then they put the crown on the little girl's head. And Mrs. Texas had taught them how to do a little curtsy and do the wave. And so they had a really good time. It was a lovely day. So we're very happy about that, and that parents and children are responding very well to our summer reading program. So that's what we've done. Plus, we'll be telling you more next month. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Linda. Council, anything for Linda?
Great work.
Great work.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on. Item number 7, City Engineer Project Status Reports. There he is. Hank, how are you doing? Great. Good? Settling in? Settling in. All right. Floor is yours.
Hello? All right. Okay. Not too much to add to on the report that's in the packet, but I do want to touch on the FM 2252 project. We're currently still in the redesign. We're waiting on a center point design that we discussed a couple of weeks ago. I know they're working on it. They were staking something out a couple of days ago. I got an update from the TxDOT coordinator today on that. So we're still waiting on that. My push for the next couple of weeks is to intake all of that, get our design finalized, and then shift focus to getting the contractor back out there. So I'm hoping to have a lot more to talk about on that project next month, but that's my primary focus right now. As far as development, no development at this point, and that's really all I have for you.
Thanks, Hank. Good job on your first one. Council, anything for our new engineer? Awesome, thanks. And I appreciate the work you've been doing with Nancy. We'll talk about this a little later on with possible capital expenditures going into fiscal 25 with tying into the Vista Ridge pipeline. So thanks for the work that you've helped us with to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 7 is complete. Item number 8, City Commission and Committee Reports, Recommendations, Possible Actions. 8A, Planning and Zoning. They did not meet in June, so there's no report at this time. 8B, Water Commission. They did not meet in June, so there's nothing to report at this time, which moves us on to item number 9, Approvals and Authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. 9A, we don't want to go through this process, Nancy, but city manager and accept retirement letter from Nancy Kane. Ma'am, General, the floor is yours. You're on.
I didn't realize I was going to have to speak tonight. Well, after a lot of thought, I feel that it's time for me to retire after 22 years here with Garden Ridge. I think it's time to bring in some new ideas, new thoughts, some new energy. I'm going to try not to cry, okay? That's why I'm pausing. As I state in one of my paragraphs of my retirement letter, I've worked in municipal government for 43 years, but Garden Ridge, I've had the best mayors, the best council members, and the best staff that I've worked with. And I'm here to help y'all make a smooth transition to a new city manager. And I can't say any more right now because I'm going to start crying. Sorry.
It's okay, Nancy. We all feel the same way. Thanks for everything that you've done. We'll get more into this as the months go by because we're looking at a 22 March right now.
Yes.
Departure date, so retirement date. And thank you for, thank you. So you and I have worked together since 2017, and
I
we've
would
had
like
some good times.
to add that I am so proud and so grateful I've gotten to be a part of helping develop this community, being a part of growing this community. And I'll still be here, so don't worry.
When Nancy took the job as city administrator in 2002, our population was 1,851, according to the 2000 census. So we've nearly tripled, if not more than that, since then. You know, our population, depending on what source you quote, is anything from 4,266, 4,300 and change. But I think that our city is much busier and connected and influential than our population would suggest. And we are extremely busy. And you've taken us through 22 years of complete change and transition.
Oh, yeah.
When you started, this wasn't here. So we weren't in there. Council chambers here did not exist. Municipal Parkway didn't exist. There wasn't a Garden Ridge Elementary School. We met over off of in the old Quonset hut, right?
No.
No?
That was way
That's
before
okay,
my
sorry.
time.
The Wayback Machine. Let's bring it
No,
forward.
it was what is now Revelation Church, I believe probably their youth or their offices. That building was our council chambers. And we had a separate city hall that was a house that had been converted into some offices. And when the wrecking ball hit that structure, I mean, it just went. When I started here, we did not have very many subdivisions. It was mainly Garden Ridge Estates. Trophy Oaks had started, George Ranch had started, but that was it.
It's pretty amazing. we'll talk much more about that as the months progress and as we go and get ready for a very big celebration and dinner or something. I know you say no, but we will. We'll have a big party at the end. It's a really good excuse to have a good party. So, thank you. Well, council, we actually have to act on that. So, we have to hopefully honor Nancy's desires to retire and accept her letter of resignation effective 22 March 2025. So I open it up to discussion, to thoughts, to talking to Nancy, whatever you guys want to do. This is uncharted territory for us. Please.
So Nancy, I know you and I have only worked together for a couple of years, but this person right here is a wealth of knowledge. And every time I sit down and talk to you, or just in passing, I learn about 10 new things. And I want to thank you for that. So
You're welcome.
I might get even more closer to you the next several months so I can learn more. But is this the part where we make a motion to deny her request? Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kelly.
It's been a pleasure working with you for sure, and thank you for all you've done for the city. We wouldn't be where we are now without your work, and we know where you live, so.
You do, yes.
Yeah, Nancy, I'm very happy for your decision to go. One thing I had just told Nancy back in May is we usually have our, one or two meetings a month. I just sit down and talk to her, and I really enjoy our visits. But that last time in May, I just, come back to work really after being out for a month or two. And I saw the thing that worries me the most is her announcing retirement. And within a month, she announced it. I don't know if I triggered that or not, or if I did, I apologize to you guys. But anyway, I'm gonna save the rest of my comments for your retirement party.
No blubbering yet, okay?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'll just wait till your retirement party. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Nancy, just when I was getting to know you, I got to say though, but you are going to slowly be missed. But I'm glad you do still live in Garden Ridge, and we talked. I'm going to still come by and say hello and see how you're
Please
doing.
do.
Because there's only going to be one Nancy Kane. It doesn't matter who we find. There's only going to be one you, and you will be missed, especially in this element right here. So I want to thank you. Even though I'm new to the council, I know everything, and I've heard about everything you've done. So thank you for all that you've done for this city,
You're
from the
very
bottom of my
welcome.
heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you still have a few more months with me, so I'll.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
I have
yes,
a
'cause
quick
I have a lot to learn.
In accepting this resignation, are we also accepting your resignation date?
Cynthia?
Well,
We're accepting, I'm in no hurry for Nancy to go, but 9 months is a long timeline as well. And accepting her resignation, would this be her end date, somebody else's start date? What is this?
So if I can jump in and talk about that, so Nancy has debated what date would be her effective retirement date for quite some time. So we've been talking about this since about mid-June. So I would say that accept her retirement announcement, retirement letter, as it says in the agenda, and that 22 March would be tentatively now her effective date of retirement. And we'll talk about the discussion of hopefully having her replacement have at least a month of overlap with her, at least a month prior to her departure. So that's what we're thinking as we go through this process. So if we accept her retirement letter, it would be accepting her date of on or about 22 March 2025. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I have a little bit of concerns just about the timing. If she is leaving in March, people file in February for the election, and then we could have 3 council members turn over in May. To me, it would make sense to have somebody in a little sooner than March, so they are prepped and ready for that election.
So that would be, if we could get 2, maybe 3 months. We've actually budgeted for 4 months of overlap, correct? In fiscal '25. So for Nancy's salary, current salary, and then as well as her replacement salary, we budgeted for up to 4 months. So that's why the next part of this discussion is important, to start that process as we go, hey, how do we do this? And look at the timing of the hiring process and whatnot to find her replacement. So hopefully we don't have any hard answers at the moment because we've never done this before.
Okay.
So did I answer your question? I don't know if I did.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Council, if there's no further discussion, can I get a motion to accept Nancy Kane's letter of retirement?
I think our most tenured person should. You're our most tenured, I think you should.
Motion to accept Nancy Kane's retirement letter.
We have a motion to accept Nancy Kane's retirement letter. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to accept Nancy Kane's retirement letter and a second. Is there any further discussion? We'll call it to a vote. Geez. Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Outwardly. Okay, it passes. Nancy, there'll be more and more thanks and discussions as we go. So you've earned 43 years municipal government. You've earned your retirement. Congrats. Good for you. Good for Ronnie.
Very educational, interesting journey. Learned a lot.
You've taught us all a lot. Look at what you've done for the city, which leads us to the next discussion. So talk about the possible hiring process as we go through this. And we're not necessarily looking for a decision tonight. I'd like a full council here when Todd is back in August to be able to discuss this further and come up as the governing body of the city with a good path going forward. But what I wanted to do is kind of give you the background tonight of discussions between myself and Nancy and Cynthia over the past month, nearly a month, to talking about where we go from here. So if you'll indulge me just for a little bit here, talk a little bit about the background. So we've been extremely lucky and fortunate as the current council and as past councils and mayors to have all of Nancy's wealth of experience and knowledge in municipal government and how to run a city, how to grow a city and multiply it, threefold in 22 years, which, I mean, if you think about that's really unheard of. Can you imagine the city of Schertz or San Antonio growing threefold in 22 years? I mean, maybe close with the population boom, but probably not quite that. So what we have here is a really remarkable circumstance, and we've been extremely lucky and fortunate to have Nancy through that process, guiding all of us as council members. When Nancy and when she broke the news to me in June, I was like, oh, wow, okay, I knew this day would come. I didn't know it would come during our tenure up here at the dais. Lisa, you and I have talked about this before, but I don't think we ever talked about it happening while we were sitting here. So, it was overwhelming, but rejoiceful when we discussed that, Nancy. There were tears shed, primarily by me, but going, oh no, what do we do? So, but we've literally never done this before. Like we talked about, our population in 2002 was under 2,000, and now it's the better part of 5,000, even though it's not quite there. We've become home rule. We have a city hall. We have a council chambers. We have departments. We have a robust public works, administrative, and police department that you have built up. And in 22 years, we haven't had to choose a new CEO of not just the city, but also of our water company. So, and Nancy is the CEO of 2 corporations, the City of Garden Ridge, with 33 employees, give or take, on a daily basis, and all the inner workings of the city, plus a water company that's a no-fail operation to the tune of the better part of $7 million budget for every fiscal year, and putting that together. So she's a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, and not somebody that we've had to think about replacing or that would be easy to replace. So think of as Nancy and I started talking about this, that process of choosing a new leader for our organization and for our city to help take us from here down the road, you know, in this year and coming years and 5-10 years down the road. We thought about this when we put together our charter commission and working to become home rule. This is actually a full section of our home rule charter. And remember, we chose the best form of government we thought for the city of Garden Ridge as through a vote, a manager council form of government, where the council chooses and votes on and selects a manager, but the manager is the CEO of the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, yearly operations of the entire city of Garden Ridge. So it's Article 4, Departmental Services, Section 401, City Manager. The city council shall, upon approval of a majority vote of a full city council, which is why I want to make sure Todd's here before we act on this, appoint a city manager who shall be the chief administrative and executive officer of the city, and shall be responsible to the city council for the administration of the affairs of the city. The city manager shall be chosen by the city council based solely on executive and administrative training, experience, and ability. And then it goes on to how we would select a city manager and how that city manager is responsible to the city council as elected officials. So we were thinking about this process, even though we didn't want to have to go through this exercise so soon. In 2002, it was a city administrator. Now Nancy's our general and city manager. We've talked about that. We're a different city, like Nancy mentioned. George Ranch had just started. Trophy Oaks had just started. Wild Wind, where we live, the 3 of us, was not even a plan yet. It was trees. It was ranch land. So the woods, Arrowwood, we've gone from having a ton of residential area to build out to it's built out, and now we're looking about commercial development in and along the 2252 corridor. So how do we do this? What Nancy and I had talked about was, well, I guess we would form a selection committee, and who would be part of that? And how do we remain impartial and neutral in that process? And I appreciate you guys hearing me out and listening to me with this and giving you our thoughts. As we discussed that, we came up with some ideas about, well, would it be our current city manager, Nancy, perhaps the mayor, because I wouldn't vote, and then perhaps another mayor from the local area, and another city manager that we know from the local area who's also experienced. Would that be a selection committee that we would form? Soon after just discussing it and thinking it over and just preliminary discussions, we needed to tell Cynthia about this. So we had a phone call and a discussion, and we said, Cynthia said all the same things about Nancy. And then we said, okay, Cynthia, we haven't done this before. Through Dent Navarro and your firm, do you have experience with this? And if so, what would you recommend? And she was very magnanimous and straight away said, yes, we do have experience with this. And the most important thing, Nancy and Mayor, is that there is neutrality in this whole process. So to remain impartial and neutral through this, to protect the city, to protect the employees, to protect the council, to protect Nancy, and to protect those candidates that we would seek to interview to become finalists, and then for the city council to make that final decision later on. So we appreciate that wise counsel, Cynthia. She also suggested that we talk to a firm called SGR, Strategic Government Resources. And their recruiting, their municipal government recruiting division does this for a living. Council, you have a copy of that report, of that proposal from them. Based on Cynthia's comments, I reached out to JJ, who's part of that proposal, and we talked about what SGR provides. Their recruiting services, you guys have read what they provide, and we had a really good discussion about it. I was taken aback with the price tag that she came up with at the end when I asked, okay, what do these services cost a normal city? And she came up with $29,500, which is $900 more than what is in the proposal. And she said, are you still on the phone? I said, yeah, I am. That obviously is the high end of what I was initially thinking. But I've given it a lot more thought since then. That was a couple weeks ago. And as you can see from the proposal, it's good for 60 days. So that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight a little bit, and then have a really lengthy discussion about the process we want to follow as a governing body in August when Todd is here. So I also reached out to DFW Stratcom. And Brian, this is before your tenure. We reached out 3 years ago to DFW Stratcom out of Dallas-Fort Worth area to help us rebrand the city, and then also come up with a better revised emergency communication plan, crisis plan, which as a captain in the SAPD, I mean, is critical to how you do things in a crisis. So we budgeted $20,000 for that back in fiscal 22 going forward, and that we treated that as an investment. I reached out to Belinda Willis regarding this, and I said, hey, Belinda, do you guys do this? Do you do executive recruiting? And she said, no, Rob, we don't. However, and I hadn't told her about SGR yet. She goes, we don't. There are things that we could do for you, like putting together a brochure, but I've got to tell you, Rob, that the company that you really need to look at is SGR, Strategic Government Resources. And they do municipal executive recruiting as a job, and they've been doing it for quite a while. And they have, they're nationwide. They are specifically throughout Texas. As you guys have seen in the back with their references, I mean, most recently they helped Mary Dennis and the city of Live Oak in 2022 to get their new manager, who since has left for family reasons, but they recruited him out of Nevada, Glenn, back then. And Belinda said that their company works with SGR all the time. They are very good at what they do, and that we need to look at them hard. And I said, well, I actually am waiting on a proposal from them. And she said, good. And she said, I shared with her kind of the daunting task as Nancy and I had thought about trying to coordinate the schedules of if we went with a selection committee of what we talked about before, and that's hypothetical. So the mayor, Nancy, another mayor from the area, and another city manager. There's 4 busy people, 3, all kind of running a city, 2 specifically running a city. How do we coordinate those schedules, number one? How do we come together and cast a wide, diverse experience net for candidates to hopefully qualify to replace our city manager? We could have obviously candidates internally to the city, locally, hopefully. statewide, but also nationwide. And I think we owe it to our residents to cast as wide a net and diverse a net as we possibly can to pick the right candidates to interview and come in and possibly select to replace a city manager of 22 years and 43 years of municipal experience. Belinda shared with me that is a daunting task, and that was kind of the word that we shared, daunting. That how do you coordinate those schedules, and then how do you back up the dates so that you have at least a month of overlap, if not more than that, so that it's a more seamless, like Lisa was talking about. How do we make that transition as seamless as we can? As Nancy departs and we have a new person come in, our new CEO to run the city and 2 corporations. How do we coordinate those schedules? How do we cast the net like we talked about? How do we look at the resumes? How do we recruit? How do we vet those resumes that we get in? I didn't know that this was a thing until talking to the chief and Dan, that gypsy police officers that go from department to department, gypsy city managers and secretaries that go from city to city and they're not a good thing for the city. They kind of go in and suck it dry and then leave. How do we make sure that we don't recruit somebody like that? How do we vet them? Once we pick candidates, how do we do that? Coordinate our schedules to come up with viable candidates from the resumes. How do we ask them questions together as a group? How do we do the background checks? Other than, Chief, can you do a background check? How do we set up the interviews? How do we present them to council? How do we coordinate that time? That was very daunting to Nancy and I, thinking about that. What Belinda said is, this is what SGR does. When we budgeted for rebranding with DFW Stratcom 3 years ago, we said, hey, this is an investment for the city. And I look at this possibility, so I look at this process, and this is an investment in the city, regardless of which direction council chooses to go. It's an investment. I think as I've looked at this more and more, that this is an investment for us as well, to help us do something that we can put together, but we really don't know how to do this. So we can put it together, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. Why wouldn't we think about investing and budgeting for it and having somebody that knows how to do this help us make that decision? With respect in mind, I mean, the final decision is with the 5 of you. So, and hopefully that is before, well before March, if it's a current city manager from who knows where. Give notice to their city and perhaps move if they're nationwide or out of state or in state or not within the city of Gardner Ridge. We've been so fortunate that Nancy lives in George Ranch. That's not going to be the case. In fact, we talked about that in the charter. We, part of the contract with our city manager and administrator, part of that was, hey, you got to live close. We're fortunate that Nancy lives in George Ranch in the city of Gardner Ridge. So we didn't tie our hands when this day that we didn't want to come, we knew it would come. So that was a wise decision on your part, approving that and the Charter Commission making that happen, and then the residents voting on that. So, what else? Neutrality. That a company like SGR and an investment like that protects the city, it protects Nancy, it protects our employees, it's impartial, it's neutral, it protects the council when you guys make that decision. Within, hopefully, the next 6 months. Thanks for listening to me. I did talk to Mayor Dennis of the city of Live Oak, and she was very pleased with their city's interaction with SGR to find a new city manager back in 2022. Glenn, who they chose from Nevada, eventually left after about a year and a half because of family. He had to go take care of his dad back home. So, and they didn't, Anas, their assistant city manager, stepped up. So we do have it in the budget. Acting in August on, I'll say SGR specifically, would be around, and their payment plan is, 33% to begin with, ish, 30%, then 30%, 30%, and running off at the end if we're satisfied. If we're not satisfied at the end, hopefully we are, they would go through the recruiting process again with minimal fees. If we started in August, we have budgeted in current fiscal year 24 for about $8,500. And then in fiscal 25, it'd be $20,000 as an investment going forward. We do have it in the budget as per discussions between myself and Robin and Nancy. They actually built it into the budget to make sure that we could do something like this. So, and we can. So I see it as an investment. I see it as someone, a company that does this to come in and help us do the hard work that we haven't done before and do the things that we may be missing, just because with all the experience up here, we just may not, we'll miss stuff. So thank you for listening to me. I know that was 15 minutes of Rob talking, but do you guys have comments? And again, we're not looking for a decision tonight. I want Todd here, but it's a discussion to go on and hopefully have a decision in August. I'll start on my left. Brian?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm familiar with that company, SGR, and yes, I have to agree with some of the comments you've stated. They're actually, that's their forte. They're pros. They know what they're doing. I looked at the paperwork that was sent out for the meeting. Some of the cities that they've actually helped find and recruit for city managers, I believe even for chief of police or fire chief. So they're really well known around the state. So yeah, this is a very important process based on everything that I've seen, just the limited things I've seen that Nancy has done. I know she's done a lot. It's going to take a person that can do a lot of multitasking, and the job description itself it's very, very demanding. So I see where you're going with that, and I've heard about them, and just to echo what you're saying, yeah, they've had a very good reputation. So, and that's kind of my 2 cents on what I think about that. So, and if there's money in the budget, it sounds to me like that would be a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. What we got to do. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Jesse?
Totally agree with everything you said, Rob. Having somebody independent come in to do something that really we're not capable of doing. I worked for a large corporation, a global corporation that had HR services, that had all that hiring process. So when I needed an engineer or an operator, something, I had a process that I went through with HR, and I had all that. We don't have that experience here, because it's not in that job. We all have different backgrounds and everything, so we don't have the background. And I'm sure in the military you'd have the same thing, right? You don't, you help promote somebody, but as far as who brings in the Air Force, it's not, you don't select that process. So yes, I totally think we ought to have an independent firm do this, because like you said earlier about the resources of you and Nancy and getting other people involved, it's going to be tight. And I said, I don't think we're really capable of doing that. No offense, but I think we really need somebody outside, and I totally support this process. So, thank you.
Thank you. Lisa?
I am definitely pro using a recruiting service. I did reach out to a couple of friends on different city council, mayor of Castroville and a council member in Bernie, because they have both of those cities utilized this company, and they both had great things to say. They were outstanding to work with, brought them really good candidates. Now, having said that, I mean, are we considering any other proposals? I mean, how does the council feel about that? I mean, should we look at other proposals as well for comparison?
I've reached out to some of my constituents, and they recommend the same company. So I don't know who else does this, to be honest with you. I mean, other than these guys.
There's a list on the Texas counties, I forget what their acronym is. Let me look, I was just trying to find the list. Texas City Management Association, and they do have a list. And I know there's another firm that a lot of people use called Baker Tilly. I'm just asking the question.
If you can give me the information, I'll reach out to them and see if I can get another proposal.
Okay, I mean, I just think it's always good to have some.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because I'd like to see the process between both of them more so than, you know, it's not always price, right? What are you getting out of that?
I can swallow that.
Yeah, and I'm all for the pros doing it. You know, even in my business, if I go out and I headhunt somebody, the fee alone is 25 to 35% of their annual pay. So when you look at that in the grand scheme of things, I mean, we're under that percentage with this proposal. So, and I'm all about, you know, we all love Garden Ridge, but you know, I can go 20 minutes from here, and there are people in San Antonio that don't even know where Garden Ridge is. Some people haven't even heard of it, which, you know, blows my mind. But you know, and I think, you know, with that being said, I mean, when you hire a company, a firm like this, that you've expanded your network, your search to a broader area, and we let them help us sell ourselves, I guess you'd say. So I'm all for it.
All right, Lisa, if you'll get that information to me, I can reach out to them and get another at least one quote, and then pass that out, and in August we'll make a decision. So, everybody good? Nancy, anything to add?
No?
Okay.
I do have a question. What is the standard, when you talk to these guys, did they tell you a standard notice that a city manager would need to give, or an outgoing person from their city? So if we hire this next person, what type of, what's the average notice that they need to give to their city?
I don't know. That's a really good question. We would want 9 months of notice, right? So.
Some of those notices may be outlined in their contracts that they may have.
Yeah, because I'm thinking they've got a 90-day clause in theirs, right? So we got to jump on this.
Yep.
So
We are almost late, starting in August. We got to go. Okay, great comments. Anything else? All right. Good discussion. Nancy, you are up for 9B, Around the Flagpole Commemorative Brick Program. Just as a reminder, Council, this is something that we started 2 years ago with the 50th anniversary party and anniversary, and we are trying to revamp it. So Nancy, you're on.
Okay. Yes, this commemorative brick program is something we started during our 50th anniversary celebration. The bricks that are around the flagpole at Paul Davis Park, you'll notice some of them have some etching in them. Those were for the sponsors. That was part of their sponsorship level for the 50th anniversary. And then we did a brick for John McCaw for his 20 years of service on the city council when he retired. I know a little late trying to finish this up. I was trying to get some more finite information on sizes, font, number of characters per line. But basically what this is, if somebody wants to memorialize somebody, or, they want to put a brick down in the name of their pet or their family member, their business, they can come to the city of Garden Ridge. There are 600 bricks around that flagpole. We will charge $100 per brick. They can order as many bricks as they want. Each one, they will have to fill out an application stating specifically what they want engraved on the brick. They will be allowed up to 3 lines, 15 characters per line. We also have done a flyer. Cindy did this flyer. And if you order a brick, say, during January and March, during that time period, in May, we will lay that brick. Because we don't want to be sending Public Works out, you know, twice a month, 6 times a month to lay individual bricks. So we've developed a timeline as to when you order it, what month it will be specifically installed. I think this is a pretty concise guideline. You know, you've had it in your packet. Do y'all have any questions after you reviewed it? Now, this is just formalizing that program. I would like council's action to approve the program. The flyer that is in the packet, we're thinking that perhaps we may print these and include them in water bills of, you know, maybe August, September timeframe. Let the public be aware of it. It's a way to earn a little bit of money so we can do some improvements that City Council may want to do at Paul Davis Park. All the money from the bricks will go strictly to Paul Davis Park improvements.
Thanks, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Council? Start on my left, Brian?
Yes, sir. Yes, I think it's a great idea. That was actually one of my questions, Nancy, was how we would get this information out, but you've answered that by mailing them out with the water bill. I was gonna ask, is there a limit to how many somebody can buy on this, or is it?
No, there's no limit on the number of bricks that you purchase.
Okay.
All the limit is how many, what you can engrave on a brick.
Okay, okay.
That's the only limitation.
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
You signing up? You want a bunch of bricks?
I'm telling you.
Okay, good. Jesse?
Yeah, I'm thinking of 3 right now, so, to start with, but yeah, I'm glad that we're moving on with this. That's got potential good money coming in, so, thank you.
Lisa?
Looks great. Thanks.
Kelly?
Love it. Let's move.
Should be pretty straightforward. If there's no other discussion, can I get a motion to approve the Around the Flagpole Commemorative Brick Program?
Move.
Motion.
All right, you go. You go.
Move to approve the Around the Flagpole Commemorative Brick Program.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes. Thanks, Nancy. Great job.
You're welcome, thank you.
You are still on for nominations to the Board of Trustees of the Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool. We do this once a year. Nancy?
Okay. TML is looking for nominations to their Board of Trustee risk pool. Places 11, 12, 13, and 14 are the places they're looking for nominations for. You will note that currently place 12 is one of the places, and that is currently held by Allison Hayward with the City of Schertz. Place 13, your nominee needs to either be an elected official or an employee, and we are a pool member. The City of Garden Ridge is a pool member. So it could be a city council member or an employee. Place 11, 12, and 14 can only be elected officials or employees of a municipality that is a member of the pool, and again, we are a member of the pool. So you want to nominate yourself, Kelly?
No, can Allison be renominated, or once your tenure's done, you're out, or?
You know, we had that question because Allison's going to take over as the president of
Yeah.
TML.
Yeah, so I'm suspecting that
Yeah.
may be a new nomination.
Any volunteers at the dais?
Nancy's going to have some free time.
Yeah, but I would not be an employee. Would have to be an employee.
Chief?
You would be an employee when this nomination's made, though.
Do what?
You'd be an employee when the nomination's made.
Yeah, but then afterwards, they'd have to renominate somebody else.
How about Marissa?
Let's see, what are some of the
I am
other-
completely uninterested, but it might be helpful to know what the job involves.
Is that can I hear a nomination for Lisa?
I already said I am uninterested, not at all
Actually,
interested.
it'd be great to have somebody from the city up there. You'd be great at it. You would be.
Have more effect on the legislation. Think about it. With the state legislation.
Mhm. That might be.
What is the job description?
Semi-interested.
Y'all are all blowing smoke.
I'm sure there's a meeting sometime.
Yeah,
that you'd
there
have
would
to
be meetings.
Maybe zoom in on. Probably get to go to it's in Austin this year, right? Yeah.
Not
It's Houston. Yeah, you're right,
interested.
Houston, yeah. Did you say you volunteer? Is that what I heard? Is there a nomination for Lisa Swint?
Again, nobody's telling me what this job
No,
is.
we don't know.
No, so why am I gonna volunteer for something I don't know?
When do we have to have what's the date we gotta have somebody for it?
We have to have nominations in by August 2nd at 11:59 PM on Friday, August 2nd.
All right, well, we're gonna have a budget meeting, a work session before that. So
Yes.
what we could do is find out what it entails, and then you
See
could
if Todd
volunteer.
Arvidsson is interested.
We could nominate
need to
him
make sure
right
that
now.
He knows of this opportunity.
He's not here.
There you go.
So, did I hear a nomination for Todd?
That's right, that'll teach
so-
you to go
We
off.
should, we really should.
So let's do this. Because Lisa has a great question. Hey, what does this place do? And we can put this as a quick item on our first work session agenda, which we think will be probably the 29th, right? And it'll be 2 days prior to this being due. So Nancy, what do you think of that?
I think that's perfect.
Lisa, does that give you enough time to research and volunteer? Or nominate Todd?
Or I think to nominate Todd. I mean, I have no clue what this is for the most part. None. I don't know if there's a nomination, is there an election, I don't know. We need more information about this.
All right, let's table it, research it, and we'll put it on quick agenda item for our work session, Nancy. Does that work? She's got it, okay. Marissa's got it, yeah. Okay, on item number D, approval of employee benefits for fiscal year 2025 and authorization for the city manager to negotiate contracts with Texas Health Benefits Pool. So our health benefits rates for our city employees through Texas Health Benefits, TML, is going up 20%. It's a lot, but it's the nature of the beast with insurance companies. We had talked last year about, hey, let's go shopping for during the budget season for other healthcare plans. Robin and Nancy have done that, and let's turn it over to Robin specifically to talk to us. You guys have read her letter, but Robin, the floor is yours to talk about this process.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we did take the action of reaching out to a third-party broker, requesting just some comparison against maybe what we could get outside of Texas Health Benefits Network. They only had 2 plan options that were saving to the city. One of them was a EPO, which I had never heard of before. I've heard of PPO, HMO. This is called an EPO. It's an exclusive provider organization. I don't know what O. And they've only been in Texas for 2 years. An exclusive provider means that you have to go to their network. Otherwise, anything outside of any hospital, if you were to go to the ER, anything outside of their exclusive network, you're paying for 100%. We feel like that's just not a reasonable solution. And then the other option from Aetna required that we would have to underwrite everybody individually. Every employee and their dependents would have to fill out a questionnaire. So the rates were not guaranteed. We are talking about maybe by next year looking a little further into that, but I think for the time being, we've decided that we probably just need to stay with Texas Health Benefits this year. And through the options that they have given us, we recommending the 15.74% increase, which will not affect, thankfully, their deductibles will not change. In-network or out-of-network deductible change. The only thing that would change with this is their out-of-pocket max will increase from $4,000 to $6,000. So it's unfortunate. There was not really a win-win found in this, in any of the options, but this I felt was at least the best compromise to maintaining employees' benefits, but also not increasing our cost too greatly.
Thanks, Robin. Nancy, anything to add?
The only thing that I would add is that typically the city of Garden Ridge over the past, oh my gosh, probably 10 years, we generally see anywhere from a 12.99 to a 16.17% renewal rate. So I think the 74% is within that range. A little higher than what we really wanted, but I think at this point that is actually the city's best option.
Thanks, Nancy. And Nancy and Robin, thanks again for all the hard work you guys put into this and going shopping and putting together the spreadsheets and making the comparisons. So, council, as we go into the budget season, it's been 2 years since we've taken a hard look at salaries. And that's one of the things that I wanted us to look at again this year was we put together a salary survey. Robin did it, and we had a lot of more cities than I thought responded to that request for information. And Robin and Nancy put together a great spreadsheet that you guys will get access to in the coming weeks as we take another look at salaries. I say that because as we budget for a salary increase for our employees, it's not just the actual salary that is the paycheck. It's, another at least third of that is their health care going into that. So that's something that we need to I need to be reminded of as we go into this process. So Robin, great job with this. Council, the recommendation from the city is as Robin and Nancy have said, the 15.74% increase. That's the least impactful to our employees of all the different options. The least impactful to the city. We have budgeted for that, the possibility of that, and then, the bad thing about it is that we really can't control is that out-of-pocket expenses could go, max of $4,000 to $6,000. So depending on the situation for our individual employees. So I open it up to discussion. We'll go to the right. Kelly.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of employees and candidates, when they're looking, they look at the total compensation package, not always just the pay. They, you know, they want to see what all is in it for them as far as benefits and everything. So, but we have to take care of our employees, and that's, I mean, the option, whatever that is, whatever option that is, the 15.74, just looking through the numbers, I mean, it does look like the best overall, even though it's above our increase. I mean, you can't go any lower than that as far as the benefits. You can't cut the benefits that we have for our employees, so you got to take care of them.
Lisa?
Well, we know insurance never goes down, so, you know, it's always expected that there's going to be an increase, and I certainly trust Robin and Nancy's recommendation here.
Looks like it's a very painful, excuse me, process to go through, so I appreciate all the work y'all did. Looking through the numbers, yeah, it took me a while to figure them out, but I got them figured out eventually how the calculations were made. But yeah, the impact, well, impact to the city is one thing, but the impact to what the employees pay and their deductibles are very critical too. So, yeah, I'm good with option one, but it's, like I said, it's gonna be painful to everybody. And benefits are usually 1/3. That's what I used to find budgeted for, you know, corporation, whenever we're budgeting our budgets, was always salary plus 30%. So, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Brian, experience with SAPD with this stuff?
Yes, sir. I have to say, going back to what Kelly said, yeah, I think it's all about, you know, the employees. They do such a great job that's why the city runs the way it does. It runs so well because of the employees we have. And this is another indication of how we get the best qualified people to want to work at Garden Ridge and keep that consistent. So I've looked at all of these options as well, and I have to concur strongly with Nancy and the recommendations from staff that I think this is the best option out of all of them. So, and yes, and I think it is aligned with a lot of other cities around the area. So, thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Council, it sounds like you are in agreement with option one and the 15.74% increase. If that's the case, can I get a motion to accept option one and the 15.74% increase for fiscal year 2025 and the authorization for the city manager to negotiate contracts with Texas Health Benefits Pool?
I'll make it short. Make a motion to do what Rob said.
We have a motion.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second for the 15.74% increase and for Nancy to negotiate on behalf of the city for Texas Health Benefits Pool. Any further discussion? That was great. Awesome. Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great job. Thanks, council. And Robin, Nancy, great work. Thanks for all that. Good job. Okay, on to 9E, budget reserves discussion. This is a continuation of last month, talking about our reserves, our savings, if you will, and we wanted to keep it going for this month. It's a very healthy, good discussion to have, especially as we get into budget season. A couple of comments as we get into budget season. Our reserves, as far as the city goes, not the water company, the city, our reserves ebb and flow as we go. And one of the things that caused our reserves to go from about 14 months a few years ago to around 6 months, if less than that, was we paid out of our savings for our water treatment plan along FM 2252 for wastewater, so that we could not have, businesses wouldn't have to have their own septic fields when they build along 2252. We haven't had anybody had to have a chance to tie into that yet because we haven't had anybody build since then. But we paid for that, just under $1 million out of our savings and our reserves. We've been talking for about the last, well, we've been talking about it since last year, about capital expenditures for some water improvements for the city of Garden Ridge coming up in this new fiscal year. Specifically, we've been talking for a year about, while we can, tying into the Vista Ridge pipeline. And we see that, myself and Nancy, Robin, our engineers see that, Stephen, as that's our emergency water source for the city of Garden Ridge. If nothing else, and our wells for some reason even dry up or we can't access them, we can pull out of the Vista Ridge pipeline, while SAW will still allow us to get in there. And like we talked about before, Hank, Tri-Hydro, and Nancy are working that for us. While we can still do that, they would cost us an arm and a leg, but it would, as far as pulling water out of there, but we can do it, and our customers still get water. And I think that's a very important stopgap for us with our water company. We are planning to bring to you a capital expenditure budget plan to pay for that out of our savings, and it's basically $1 million to do that now. It was less than 600,000 a year and a half ago, but it's not anymore. So that's why we think we need to act on that in this next fiscal year. While we have the money, it's still affordable-ish, and we can do it. So that's one of the things with our reserves that they ebb and flow, and we plan to do that. In this case, this would be a loan, literally a very small interest loan, that the city would loan to our water company to be able to afford to do that. And there'd be a contract that our water company would eventually pay the city back for that expenditure. So that's a little bit of inside baseball to tell you what our plans are for capital expenditures and our savings, but I just wanted to introduce it with that. Nancy, anything to add before we continue? Robin, anything?
I've been kind of reviewing the article again from last month, and it was a really, like you said, a really great, just dialogue of, things to consider as far as reserves go. I did check out some of their, risk analysis surveys that they have in there. I felt like, it's very subjective, I guess, and open to interpretation to kind of gauge your risk. Would probably person by person would think about the risk a little differently as far as treating the reserves like an insurance policy. I think that it's a good discussion, and I feel like even with the budget that we're about to present, we're going to be showing us dipping into our reserves, and we're going to see our reserve level drop. I think it's a good thing for us to revisit this annually and just kind of look at maybe what the city projects that are needed to be done, what city projects, that we want to, that are needed to be done, and what we can afford to do from those reserves.
Thanks, Robin. Keep the discussion going. I'll start over on my left. Brian, any thoughts?
Yes, sir. Going back to what you were saying about the Vista Ridge pipeline, I think I read an article too that I think San Antonio Falls, I think they finally finished doing what they need to do to kind of get into that pipeline, and it's going to have huge benefits. So I think this is a smart and great idea to have this as a backup. We need this, and I think as we stated earlier, I think we should be moving on it sooner than later, because I think we're going to definitely need that, because we can't predict what next summer is going to be. I have to tell you, I didn't think we'd have this many years in the stage restrictions we've experienced this far. I mean, and I don't know what it's going to be like tomorrow, but it's going to get probably worse before it gets better. So, yes, I have to concur with you on thinking that this is a good idea to start getting into that Vista Ridge pipeline. So, thank you.
Jesse?
Okay, one thing I thought about when talking about reserves is, and I talked to Robin earlier, is since for our general fund, our revenue is majority of our revenue is ad valorem tax. That doesn't come in until January or February, because most people pay their taxes, if they're paying lump sum, January, February, December, that means the money comes in January, or pays in January, the money comes in February. So that's 4 months roughly that we're using our reserves to pay our bills. So keep that in mind, that the 4 months of that is paying our bills up. So the reserve we have is really as of September 30th. It's not there necessarily January 1st. Okay, it takes a drop in there. So we have to keep that in mind. Then you add any potential risk after that. So that's why I was, going back to minimum 6 months, but that's the things we got to keep in mind is how the cash flow is important, just like in your bank account at home. You want to be sure you have your cash flow there. With the water company, similar in that, we start in October, water sales are low during the winter, right? So it's usually not until May or June that we start, seeing the positive side. Even this year, we're still 4 months in the reserves right now, into the reserves at this point, just looking at the financial reports. So, yeah, we really have to be careful with the water company especially. So we definitely, that's where we look at the rates. And if we have to loan, if we're going to get a loan on the Vista Ridge, then we have to account for that in the financials, in the calculations of rate. So I'll do that.
Those are great points, Jesse. Thanks. Lise?
Yeah, Jesse, good point on the timing of all of this. I completely support us tying into Vista Ridge if we can. I mean, we need that water security.
Kelly?
I'm 100% on board. And, our window of opportunity is probably shrinking on this offer. So it's time to act now because it might not always be an option for us. So it's a lot of money, but, and it is a one-time buy-in, right? Lifetime buy-in, is that to buy in our piece there, huh?
To tie in, and then the
fee,
cost would go up
cost
as
for the
far as
water,
drawing
right.
water out of it.
So it's not a 5 or 10 year, then they're coming back at us for another fee, correct? Okay. But yeah, I'm 100% on board.
You will only pay water cost when you pump the water, and the fees are high. But it is, it's a safety net. It's a type of insurance for us.
It's a good discussion. Some of our discussion between myself, Nancy, and Robin over the last couple weeks has been about, hey, do we in this discussion, first of all, this should be an annual discussion, starting in June. And do we need a policy that says, hey, this is our minimum reserves and this is our maximum reserves? And what we have talked about as our reserves in both the general fund and water company ebb and flow, having a policy with a minimum and a maximum. First of all, a maximum, okay, now if we reach that maximum, are we forced to spend that money when we could just save it for the next Vista Ridge pipeline expenditure? A minimum might be a good idea, but what do we tie our hands if we go, hey, it's a 6-month minimum, but actually in order to pay the bills, we need to go to 5 months. So what the three of us discussed was, hey, that's probably not something that we want to tie our hands with at the moment as we go into budget season. But we talked about, again, opening this discussion up every June and talking about it again, where we are, where we're going, what we want to do. So if it sounds like we're all in agreement that, hey, as we get into our capital expenditure plan, we'll take a hard look at the Vista Ridge pipeline, see if we can afford it. Do we need to seek a SIB loan or something like that? Certainly not a bond that we'd have to take to the voters, but because we don't need to, we will need to seek a bond in the not too distant future for capital improvements. But is this something that we can take off for August, get into the budget, and bring it back up again in June? You guys okay with that? Yes? Lisa, this was your thing? Okay. All right. Again, Nancy and Robin, great work. Thanks. All right, on to item number 9F, Environmental Protection Agency Air Sensor Loan Program discussion. Lisa, this is all you and Nancy.
So I don't have a lot to update because I'm kind of on hold. I do have the air sensors. They were delivered to City Hall, but we are considering, Todd Arvidsson and I are considering having it become an Eagle Scout project. So obviously he's out of town. He did mention that he had a scout that might be interested in taking this on. That would get them out of the park. I'm not sure what other structures we can build in the park. and have them work this program. So I'm just kind of waiting for Todd to get back. I've let the EPA know that we're just kind of on hold right now, and they're completely fine with that, so.
That's a great idea. So we'll keep it on for August? Okay, great, awesome. On to item number 10, updates, city council projects, APOs impacting Garden Ridge. Lisa?
Okay, just kind of a short update here. It's quiet, it scares me, it's quiet. I keep checking for air permit applications on TCEQ. I'm not seeing them. That doesn't mean they're not happening somewhere in some dark corner that I can't access. But I checked again today, and nothing's out there that I can find yet, but I am just kind of on high alert for that. Trying to get a meeting set with Jill Shackelford. We've been playing phone tag forever. Later this week, and I haven't heard. Bet had her own concrete batch plants, and now helps both APOs and municipalities work better together. And she was going to look at the WPAP and make some recommendations. So I look forward to speaking with her. Still keeping in touch with legislators in Austin. There is this is kind of a follow-up to the Dan Patrick letter. The cement production plants became one of the interim agenda items for the legislature, and they have a public hearing on Tuesday, September 17th, to talk about cement production plants and the impact on community, how to deal with that, as well as them still serving as an economic driver. So I'm going to try to get up there for that. And on legislative stuff as well in regards to quarries, Joyce Yanuzzi at the county luncheon mentioned that, if we had any bills that we were interested in promoting, working on, whatever, to start that process with her, to have them to her by November. So I think there's some work to be done there.
Thank you. How do we meet? Do you and Todd have a plan of how to put what the legislative stuff that we want together so that we meet that suspense? Because that's crucial, right?
No, I haven't talked to Todd. I mean, I have ideas, but they haven't gone past ideas. So I'm happy maybe Nancy and I can meet on that.
One of the things that I was going to talk about at NEP portion, but I can bring it up now. The mayors are going to meet with our legislative representatives. So Donna Campbell, we haven't set it up yet, but our plan is to meet with them in January up at the Capitol with NEP's top 3 issues, and based on the resolution that the majority of mayors at NEP signed and our momentum with Donna Campbell and Carrie Isaac with legislative change, to hopefully that's something that can be one of those top 3 items that we take from the NEP, not just the city of Garden Ridge, but go forward with that. So work to do on that. But if we have something concrete that we're sending as a city, we can use that as a template for NEP. So that would be great.
I'll reach out to Joyce and
Awesome.
get with Nancy and see what we can figure out.
Thanks. Anything else with that? No. 2, mitigation of growth and encroachment impacts on Garden Ridge. The only update I have is the Joint Base San Antonio 502nd Air Base Wing change of command is the 31st of July, Wednesday, at Randolph Air Force Base in the morning. So you guys, some of you have met General Driggers. He's giving up, he got a 2nd star, by the way, but he's giving up command and giving it to another friend of ours, General Oakland. So that's that morning, and in talking with Councilman Mark White from District 10 San Antonio, his office, he's attending that ceremony. and we have set up a lunch together after that ceremony to specifically have a couple of NEP things I want to talk to him about. It's a non-decisional meeting. Obviously, it's just two guys having lunch, but to reinvigorate the discussion about expanding our ETJ, even given that, hey, anybody, if we do that currently with the law that changed last year, people can petition and get out of our ETJ. That's great. It's a terrible law, actually, but we're working to change that. I don't think that that law as written is going to stand the test of time. So there's a lot of, I mean, just in the NEP, I think that'll be our number one thing, to try and change that law back to something that's manageable. What I'd like to do is not get crazy with ETJ expansion, but specifically go that way up Bat Cave and down 3009 for the new developments of Enchanted Bluff, stuff going in on Bat Cave for that. I mean, it's residents. They're not going to come up and go, I mean, they might, if we got ETJ expansion, they may come up and go, hey, we don't want to be part of Garden Ranch. Okay, well, then you can stay part of San Antonio. So, but that would be a good source of growth for the city, but also a good source of ad valorem revenue for us in the future. So not getting crazy, going that way towards the quarry, that way towards Shirts at all, just that way that's in San Antonio, but Comal County, and seeing what we can do. That's the discussion I'd like to have with him. See what he thinks about that, have lunch, and then set up something more formal like we did last November 20th at his office to reinvigorate that. That's the only update I've got. Lisa, anything else on that?
Just FYI on that, Senate Bill 2038 is also one of them that is on the interim agenda. So they have not had that meeting yet. I'll go back and look and see if I can find when that date is. It's made a mess for everybody. There's also been a couple articles recently about Senate Bill 2038 impacting the aquifer, the Edwards Aquifer in particular, that people are, or the companies or whatnot are, you know, getting out of their ETJs and into the county again. Anything in the county is less regulated, so there's some issues there. Hill Country Alliance just posted the article on their Facebook page. Encroachment impacts on Garden Ridge because of the internet outage today. I don't have a report from the, I always look at the Comal County's engineering website. You can check, they've got you can search by a bunch of different search things, but I always pull it up as a map, and you can look, you know, around the city of Garden Ridge and see if anybody's applied for a septic tank or a, you know, floodplain permit. I mean, you can tell what development is coming in or have a good guess at it by those permits. So I didn't get a chance to do that today. I couldn't pull it up. So.
Okay, thanks. You and Kelly have something for economic development. I would imagine you do.
Well, you probably have more than I do, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
Do your-
Kelly and I are doing lots of work, busy calling people and researching things. Nancy and I potentially have another meeting tomorrow, waiting to see if that comes to fruition. So that's like 3 or 4 meetings we've had just recently in regards to people wanting to develop 2252. One of the things that I'm currently gathering all that kind of demographic information so we can put together a brochure or whatever to pitch development on 2252 to anybody who's interested. We're also looking at incentives. I am disinclined to have the city put together an EDC just because we kind of have we don't have a lot of volunteers as it is, and that requires, you know, a board of directors and more meetings and, you know, extra work. So, but there are some incentives that we can look at that other cities also use. There's tax abatements, there's tax increment financing, And there's economic development programs through chapters 380 and 381, and they all, come at the issue in a different way. So I'll be putting some information together about that, and we'll bring it to council when it's ready.
Awesome. Kelly?
When she said we do research, she's very, very good at research, so I'll give her about the 85th percentile as far as work on the research side. But we had a great, we approved some money to hire a consultant to go through our UDC and our processes, and so she met with Nancy. She's had her meetings with prospective investors in our community, as well as people who have already invested in our community or who have built in our community, get their feedback. And we did a ride-along and kind of showed her what our dream is along 2252, and had a great ride-along. And so I talked with her this morning. She said she'll have her final report with recommendations by the end of the month. So that's all I have for that.
Awesome, great, thank you. Thank you both. All right, number 4, liaison of the water company and utilities, Jesse.
Well, already covered about, I've been working with getting data with Robin and Michelle to calculate our water revenues, potential water revenues, and what changes we need to make. So I'm working on that with them.
Awesome, thank you. We've had some good discussions already today. Todd's not here. I don't have any Comal ISD updates. Usually in July, we have the fall sports schedule lineup with Davenport High School. Nobody was available to come tonight, so we'll see if they are available to come in August. So that'd be great to see their fall sports lineup. And Brian, you're probably itching to get on with the project.
I want to be part of the team, Mayor.
Okay.
I want to serve, so.
You are. So let's just reach out to Nancy and I or whoever, and so tell us what you want to do.
Yes, sir.
If there's
definitely.
something that you want to do, and I would assume that there is, based on our discussions.
Yes, sir. I appreciate
Cool,
that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that ends 10 updates. On to 11 future agenda items. Anybody have something they want on a future agenda, specifically August, that we haven't already talked about?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Mayor, I was going to ask you, I think we had talked about this last time. I don't know if this is the place, but about that grant writing we were talking about, I think that's something that we could utilize. So I don't know if that's something that would be a future agenda or if it's something we would talk about at come budget time. I don't know. So. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. When I went to that ACOG training, we had talked about, I was looking at this thing that they actually have hourly rates for individuals that we could hire to do grants, to write grants for us. So, and I know that's
let's put that on August's agenda to talk about and discuss. So, and that'll give you time to be ready to go to present that to us.
Okay,
Does that work?
definitely.
And maybe that turns into an ongoing project or update. So
Okay.
we'll
Yes,
see.
sir.
That's
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry, Lisa. I need to be done.
They
For
talk
real,
about,
I've already done that course. I used to do grant writing. I can't put anything
Yeah, I
else
know,
on my
it's,
plate. I
hey,
just can't.
it's no joke. I will tell you
I
right now,
just
yes.
cannot.
it's
the
no joke.
intergovernmental risk pool from TML does a lot of grant writing,
That's-
so that's,
That
that's
just
right up
sounds
your
painful.
alley. Now, you know Todd
Painful.
can't do that, so
Painful.
that's 100% you.
Painful.
No offense, Todd. He's not watching tonight.
But his ears are ringing, I bet.
Yeah, maybe. Dodging all the bears up there. Okay, anybody else? We'll put grant writing in there for August. On to item number 12, citizen comment period. You don't have to have signed up to talk. You have 2 minutes. Just say your name and your, or visit Marissa afterwards. And we can't comment, but we're listening and taking notes. Anybody, any takers of the one particular audience member that's here? Hello, sir. It's good to see you. Always a pleasure. The floor is yours.
Okay, my name's Scott Miller. I live at 9312 Berean Way in Garden Ridge. Before you head off to your executive session and discuss things I don't really know anything about, but appears it is on there about the revival with Eric Fisher's name. I had lots to say last time at the last meeting. And I just want a few things to maybe consider as you go on to these discussions. Some of everything that was said last time, I don't believe was all true. Some of it was. Eric Fisher is one of our own. He doesn't live in Garden Ridge. He lives in Rainbow Ridge. Eric Fisher is investing in Garden Ridge. Well, he's investing, but he's doing it on the cheap. It is no comparison with shipping containers compared to brick and mortar structures that every other business and every homeowner has done. We're told this is for the children. Well, in reality, it's a place for parents to go drink while their kids can play nearby and considered to be safe. We're told that there's no place for Garden Ridge residents to go eat. Again, look in the mirror and see if you believe that. And if you need help, go to yelp.com and you can find some places to go eat. Probably what I heard most all at the meeting last time was that Eric Fisher is a great guy. I've known Eric Fisher for like 9 years. My wife taught his kids in school. I also believe he's a great guy. However, I'd also say great guys don't sue the city or don't get involved in litigation if that's what's happening in a city that they want to do business with. So I would just suggest take a hard look at what it is. Those of you voted a certain way, like I say, stand by your convictions, and I hope support all those residents. There were some petitions that were signed. I heard the number was 200. I didn't see them, but there are a number of citizens that believe this isn't the right venue or the right place for this venue. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Anybody else? Okay, that closes item number 12. On to item number 13, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Anybody have anything they want to chat about? Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start off with AMPO, the Technical Advisory Committee. I mentioned before that AMPO was looking at expanding to, right now it's Comal County, Guadalupe County, Bexar County, and part of Kendall County. The expansion after the 2020 census, it showed that we, needed the AMPO needed to grow. So looking at expanding and include all of Kendall County and part of Medina County. And executive board had met and had recommended to do that. And the idea was to bring in a representative for both the TAC, the Technical Advisory Committee, which I'm on, and the Policy Board, which Kevin Hadas is a member of, and also Kevin Webb, Commissioner from Comal. And the resistance was adding 2, but also removing 2 representatives. And the Northeast Partnership was one of those representatives they're going to remove. Thanks to Kevin Hadas and Kevin Webb, they fought to keep us on. So NEP still has a representative on both those committees. The compromise was to add another representative from Bexar County and San Antonio, City of San Antonio, to balance it out. So that was the compromise to make that happen, so we're still on, we still have representation there. So thank you to those gentlemen for keeping us going. And the meeting for the July TAC meeting was canceled. It's usually canceled in July. So that's all I have for that. I have TxDOT. Will Lockett did mention that about the utility relocation, which Hank already brought up, but also the overpass to over the tracks. It's been delayed 2 weeks because the contractor was coming out of Houston, and with the hurricane, they couldn't get out. So they're delayed setting up here to start working on the drilling of the pylons. So that'll happen in 2 weeks. They'll start. So that's great. Okay, that's all I have.
Thanks, Jesse. That's good stuff. And another shout out to Kevin Hadas and Kevin Webb. Thanks so much. You guys are rock stars. Appreciate it. Thanks for everything you can do, Kevin. Anybody else before I throw the resolution from NEP up there? Marissa, can you put the resolution up? So this, it reads a lot like the resolution that we signed last month. And if you go to the back page, you'll see that 12 of the 13 mayors signed it. City of Schertz chose not to. It was a discussion amongst their city council, and I respect that decision. The reason it took so long to get the rest of the signatures is because we hadn't seen Mayor Dee Grimm from St. Hedwig since last fall, and she hosted our dinner in June and happily signed it. So this is something for us to use in going forward with the NEP and our legislators to see what we can do to affect legislative change. So, any questions on it? Lisa, you wrote it. Thanks so much. It's good stuff.
Nancy wrote it too, wasn't just me.
Nancy and Lisa, great work. Sorry it took so long to get signed, but here we go. We're good to go. Anybody else? All right, moving on to executive session. The city council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in closed session, 14A, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0711, pending or contemplated litigation, and 551.0712, consultation with city attorney on the following items. 14A1, notice of claim letter from Daniel Post. 14A2, petition for declaratory judgment, Eric Fisher versus the city of Garden Ridge. We will take a recess now, and do you guys want 10 minutes? 10 minutes, we'll reconvene behind us at 8:50. Okay, item number 15, the council is back in session at 8:58 p.m. There are no, item number 15 is business items to bring back into regular session. We do not have any business items to bring from executive session. So moving on to item number 16, there being no further business, the city council special meeting is adjourned at 8:59 p.m. Thanks, council.
Thank you.